Allow me to introduce myself. Blair. I am 46 years of age. Have been in a new marriage for 2 years now. Without biological children, without pets, and without arms to embrace each morning, merely a rustic wooden cabin, nestled in Asheville. In this space I cultivate lavender-hued tales during the afternoon hours, patiently anticipating my husband's return from his business journeys. This week he has ventured to New York once more, and once more I find myself home alone, as is often the case. That evening I prepared dinner alone. Perfectly pan-seared salmon accompanied by a medley of roasted vegetables. Familiar fare once more. Another round of the familiar white wine. Activated the familiar jazz playlist. Seated in the kitchen, enveloped in the soft golden glow of the pendant lamp, seemed as though I was trapped in a performance that had been endlessly replayed for the last 2 years. The gentle spouse who understands the art of solitude. That moment the doorbell chimed. I recoiled. The clock had struck 8 in the evening. Who might arrive at this late hour? Cracked the door open just a bit. Stood Evan, the son of my husband from his earlier marriage. At 25 he stood tall, his slightly tousled dark brown hair catching the light. Backpack rested over one shoulder, while in his hand he rolled a small suitcase. As been almost 8 months since I last laid eyes on Evan. He visited for lunch, accompanied by his father Claire. He spoke with a trace of uncertainty. Found myself on the road, making my way back from Raleigh. Midway through the journey the car issued a warning. Roadside assistance was occupied. Find myself pondering the possibility of spending the night here. Paused for a moment before replying. Not that I was taken aback. In that instant my heart leapt with an unexpected thrill. The reason eluded me. Step inside. Moved to the side, craving a delightful beverage, perhaps tea, wine, or a comforting cup of hot cocoa. Evan spoke, a gentle smile gracing his lips. Penny remains. I took a moment to stop. Possessed a box of dark cocoa, low in sugar content, kind that was exclusively mine to savor. Found myself unable to remember ever having brought it up to anyone. You recalled that I was aware. I witnessed you create previously. Each moment spent in solitary reading. A soft chuckle escaped my lips, mere smile. In that moment, gentle warmth began to unfurl within my breast. A soft stirring that whispered of something profound. Evan placed his suitcase on the ground, removed his coat, and settled onto the bench beside the window. The illumination within the dwelling exuded a comforting warmth. Jazz music lingered softly in the atmosphere. I poured cocoa for the two of us, presented him with a ceramic mug. As Evan's hand grazed against mine, I couldn't help but flinch slightly, not due to the chill in the air. Yet that touch had lost the essence of the boy I once recognized. He had matured to completion. There I was, a woman who believed she had outgrown the pangs of awkwardness, perched on the sofa, gripping a mug of cocoa tightly with both hands, as if the very act of letting go might shatter the moment. Conversations were few and far between, merely tales from the past. Early mornings filled with the pressure of impending deadlines and solitary dinners that stretch into the quiet of the evening. Yet in the hushed intervals I sensed an ineffable presence gliding in harmony with the soothing cadence of warm cocoa. He cast his gaze in my direction for an extended period, as though he sought to grasp the deeper truths hidden beneath the gentle facade I presented each day, and I turned away from that gaze for fear that it might penetrate my heart. I worried I would lose sight of the role I was meant to embody. The clock struck 5:52 a.m. I emerged from the depths of slumber, not due to an alarm, yet the faint glow, filtering through the curtain gently, caresses my eyelids. The house remained enveloped in silence. The silence enveloped me, allowing the sound of my own breath to resonate in the stillness. Evan found solace on the living room sofa, surrendering to the embrace of sleep. Before retiring for the night, I had set out a blanket and pillow and turned on the heater to create a cozy atmosphere, a simple yet genuine expression of welcome, nothing further. Donning my robe, I strolled to the kitchen to brew my morning coffee. Ritual as familiar as the dawn itself. The grinder emitted a steady whir. The aroma of Arabica enveloped the room. Suddenly, the echo of footsteps filled air. Illumination. Leisurely I pivoted. Evan, clad in a white t-shirt, his tousled hair framing his face, gazes with eyes that still carry the remnants. Asleep. Have you risen with the dawn? He spoke, his voice a gentle, husky whisper. It's merely a habit, I responded, setting a second mug down on the counter. We faced one another, each positioned on opposite sides of the kitchen. Silence prevails. The atmosphere that enveloped us had shifted. More buoyant, more inviting, and oddly delicate. Do you still have that orchid on the porch? Evan inquired. I inclined my head in acknowledgement. It teetered on the brink of demise more than once, yet it persists, returning time and again. He cast his gaze in my direction, eyes that dance with mischief, yet exude a tender warmth similar to individuals. Indeed, I hesitated. It was unclear whether it was the content of his words or the manner in which he delivered them that brought me to a halt. Such tranquility, yet it felt as though he was grasping for something I had long since refrained from approaching. We carried our coffee out to the porch. The sky had brightened. The sun had yet to rise, yet a gentle luminescence revealed a delicate mist hovering above the grass. Evan perched in the wooden chair beside me, cradling his cup as his gaze wandered aimlessly. Did you find rest in the embrace of slumber last night? Inquired. He inclined his head in acknowledgement. I certainly did. Yet I found myself immersed in a peculiar dream. A chuckle escaped my lips. But dream lacks a touch of the bizarre. Evan remained silent. Then he spoke in a gentle whisper. I found myself in a dream, seated precisely in this very. Then a hand found its way to rest upon mine. I shifted just a bit, making an effort to conceal the way my fingers clenched around the mug. Unsure of how to shatter the stillness, I inquired. Never inquired about your birth mother, did I? Evan cast my gaze over. You never did, he remarked. Perhaps it was simply that I never wished for anyone to take her place. I inclined my head in agreement, yet within another silence settled, born of an entirely different. And then I came to the realization that Evan remained, his gaze unwavering. Perhaps I've positioned you in a realm that eludes my ability to define. I shifted my gaze toward him. He cast his gaze in my direction, embracing the challenge without a moment's pause. A look imbued with sincerity, hinting at depths beyond mere language. Ought to have turned my gaze elsewhere. Ought to have shifted the topic. It should have been clarified as a mere misunderstanding. Yet I inquired gently. Did she withdraw her hand in the dream? Evan gave a slight shake of his head. No, she abandoned it in that spot. Remained silent, and somehow my hand The one resting on my lap crept a little closer to his, only a small amount. Yet it was just enough that, should the wind have picked up its pace, they could have reached out and made contact. Evan cast his gaze downward. He remained silent. He leaned in, setting his coffee cup down on the table, then turned to me with such gentleness that I barely had a moment to respond before his warm hand enveloped mine. I recoiled just a bit, yet I remained in place. We lingered in that moment upon the wooden balcony. The wind dances around us. The aroma of coffee lingers in the atmosphere. Serene pause in time. Encounter that felt deliberate kept my hands steady, and Evan maintained his hold without hesitation. Our hands found solace in each other's embrace, gently, as though a single thought could ever divide them. Yet neither of us made that. Do you feel fear? He inquired, his voice scarcely rising above a whisper. I hesitated before responding. I turned my gaze toward the backyard. The sunlight started to filter through the foliage. Naturally, fear grips me, I confessed. Yet it is not this sensation that fills me with dread. Evan inclined his head slightly. What is it that I fear? Perhaps I have become too accustomed to suppressing my emotions entirely. The atmosphere surrounding us grew dense, reminiscent of a moment caught in a languid pause. The laughter had faded, leaving a silence where humor once thrived. There was no illusion of coincidence here. Evan rose to his feet. I had anticipated his departure, yet he chose to stay. He gently bent down, retrieved the knit shawl I had carelessly left draped over the armchair, and tenderly draped it over my shoulders, with the tenderness of a person grasping something precious on the verge of tip. You're getting cold, he remarked, his voice barely above a whisper, just enough for me to catch the words. I raised my gaze. His face hovered near, allowing me to catch the glimmer of light dancing in his eyes. Eyes that held the vibrancy of youth and the depth of untold stories, no longer bearing the visage of the boy who once lived next door, but rather the countenance of a man who stood wholly before me. Evan, I murmured gently. Can't quite grasp your thoughts yet. I find myself nearly 2 decades your senior. Understand, he remarked. Since when does the heart adhere to the constraints of age? A laugh escaped my lips, not due to a sense of relief, but from the fear that if I didn't laugh, tears might spill forth instead. He settled beside me once more, this time drawing nearer, and this time rather than merely brushing against my hand, he grasped it firmly, completely. Undoubtedly, a sensation coursed through my back as if a string were being pulled to its breaking point. Every heartbeat resonated within my chest. Believed you were merely a fleeting memory, a whisper of the past as I spoke, with my gaze cast down upon the wooden floor. And I, Evan interjected, have never forgotten that you were the first woman who made me feel truly seen. Effortlessly, I shifted my gaze toward. At that moment, the age gap was the furthest thing from my mind. I didn't consider the opinions of others. His father didn't cross my mind. Only a single thought occupied my mind. Long had it been since anyone regarded me in such a way. Our lips had yet to meet. We had not embraced. We had not yet traversed any tangible boundary. On an emotional level, every barrier had already been transcended. Evan lifted his hand, his palm brushing softly against my cheek, cozy as a flame on a chilly night. Are you truly present with me? He inquired. I inclined my head in agreement, without a moment's doubt. Fear not, a mere nod utterly ended. In that fleeting instant, our Foreheads touching softly, we lingered. In a profound silence. Absent of lips. There is an absence of warmth. Two souls. Once adrift in solitude, now finding harmony in their shared breaths, a bond that required no label. In that instant, I realized that even if tomorrow were to elude me, I was undeniably and completely alive. Throughout that afternoon we remained inseparable. Embraces. There shall be no kissing. Lines must remain uncrossed. We remained perfectly still. His hand clasped around mine. Our gazes intertwined. Completely lost track of time and realized I hadn't eaten a thing since the morning light first broke. Hunger, much like any corporeal sensation, dimmed in the shadow of a quiet fire, smoldering within me. A strange feeling of being noticed, even if just for a fleeting moment. Evan was the first to rise. He filled 2 glasses with water and offered me one. Silence enveloped him, yet his gaze inquired deeply, "Are you all right?" Grasp the glass firmly with both hands. The glass exuded a chill. Warmth radiated from my palms. "I'm doing well." Inclined my head gently. Never did I imagine that a midday could unfold in such a manner. Evan settled back beside me, a single pillow placed between us. Silent pack shared by 2 souls poised at the brink, hesitant to take the final step into the unknown. "I don't want you to feel uneasy," he remarked. "No," I gently shook my head. "Feel at ease. Simply I fear I may become accustomed to the presence of another by my side." He fell silent for a brief moment. "Perhaps we ought to acclimate ourselves to it." Gazed at him, a gentle smile gracing my lips. Evan had not spent much time in this house, merely a transient soul, lingering for a few months as the dorm underwent its transformation. The manner in which he glided through the air, the way he grasped every silent moment, every fleeting glance, every breath suspended in the stillness, made me sense that he had inhabited this space long before my arrival. "Have you ever found yourself with someone?" asked, astonished by my own inquiry. Evan let out a hearty laugh. "Are you referring to someone akin to yourself?" "Negative. Someone who inspired you to linger a little longer." He hesitated, contemplating, then gave a slight shake of his head. "I've encountered individuals who brought joy into my life, yet never one who made me feel as though I could finally cease my relentless pursuit." That line pierced me like a frigid gust slipping beneath my hurt. I averted my gaze, not out of shame, merely attempting to conceal the ache in my heart beneath the relentless glare of the midday sun. In that moment, I found myself asking almost absent-mindedly, "If your father were to return tomorrow, how would you label everything that transpired last night, this morning, and right now?" Evan fixed his gaze upon me without a moment's thought. "I prefer not to assign a label to. I would simply hold on to it. Hold on to that sensation. Beside you in silence, yet feeling utterly complete." I tightened my hold on the glass. The water had lost its coolness, yet that gaze continued to send a delightful shiver down my spine. "This eludes a name for me." "Then don't give it a name," Evan remarked. "Simply accept it." Profound stillness ensued. I rose from my seat and made my way to the window where the sun began to radiate its fiery brilliance. Evan chose not to follow. He remained in his place, so near that I could catch the sound of his breath, just distant enough that I felt a sense of freedom. I murmured gently, my back still turned. "Should this be the sole moment, would you find yourself filled with regret?" No, he replied. Is it possible that this one moment truly existed? As dusk settled in, an unforeseen chill crept into the air. I swung open the closet door. I retrieved an additional blanket from its. Evan moved through the kitchen with a grace that suggested the events of the day had left no mark on either of. He set 2 bowls of udon upon the table. This evening calls for a light dinner. Ginger-infused scallions paired with a hint of soy sauce. Give it a go. It brings a comforting warmth to the belly. I settled into my seat, nodding softly as if I were a visitor in my own abode. In that moment we dined in quietude, somewhere between comfortable and forced. The gentle rhythm of chopsticks clinking against bowls, punctuated occasionally by the wind whispering through the rattling window. Evan, once I remarked that all that remained in my bowl was merely broth. Your gaze still feels unfamiliar. Me. He halted, his gaze lifting to me. Mine. Would you like me to cease? No, I responded, my words deliberate and measured. I seek to grasp the reasons behind it all. Evan reclined in his chair, his arms crossed with a sense of contemplation. Your transparency is evident. You make no effort to appear younger. You don't feign independence from others. Your existence mirrors that of a genuine individual. In moments of sorrow, a sigh escapes your lips. When fatigue sets in, you find a place to rest. Your true beauty shines brightest when you embrace authenticity. Released a chuckle, not due to its humor but because my heart had just quivered slightly. Throughout my life I have yearned for the kind of love that embraces authenticity. Yet at this moment the observer is a young man of 24 years, the son of my former husband. Isn't that a touch ironic? Evan remained silent. He strolled over and took a seat next to me, neither near nor in contact, just within reach to catch the sound of his breath, yet distant enough for me to maintain the illusion that I hadn't already surrendered to my feelings. We lingered in that moment, bathed in the soft golden light of a vintage desk lamp. After a moment, Evan tilted his head and inquired gently, do you think some connections are destined to go nowhere? Is it that they simply require validation in a fleeting instant? Inclined my head in agreement. You do, indeed. Yet only a handful possess the clarity of mind to recognize the opportune moment to halt. And are you? He inquired softly, yet not without its trials. I shifted my gaze toward him. Our gazes intertwined. I'm uncertain yet. There is one thing I am certain of. Should we choose not to pause this evening, the dawn will arrive too loud for the simple pleasure of sharing a cup coffee. Evan wore a smile. The evening, let us simply remain here together. Keep your hands to yourself and stay put. Simply take a moment to be present with one another. I inclined my head in agreement. We nestled together, shoulders brushing in a kitchen that still held the lingering aroma of broth. On a night so chilly it stirred a deep yearning for companionship. Yet we opted to remain motionless. Neither of us uttered another word. There was no necessity for it, for it is in those seemingly mundane evenings spent in the company of someone who ignites a spark within you at just the right moment that memories are forged to last a lifetime. In the stillness of the night I found myself roused from slumber, not born from a nightmare, not from the chill. Profound stillness enveloped me, awakening my senses, as if my very being yearned to cling to that tranquility for just a moment more. In the living room, the candle that Evan had ignited continued to flicker with a steady flame. The aroma of cedarwood and Vanilla wafted through the atmosphere. Warm, gentle, and soothing like a cherished jazz melody. I slipped into a sweater and ventured outside. Evan remained there, peacefully slumbering on the sofa. His hand nestled beneath his head, resembling a pillow, while one shoulder lay exposed beneath the soft glow of the light blanket. Tenderly draped the blanket over him, ensuring he was warm and snug. It was a primal urge. There I settled on the floor close to the sofa, empty of thought. Nothing on the agenda. A subtle yearning to linger in close proximity for a while longer. Gazed at him, his eyes shut, breaths calm and even. The youthful face that once stirred uncertainty within me now evoked a different sentiment than it had the previous night. Indeed, it instilled in me a profound sense of maturity. Matured to the point where I won't let a fleeting moment become a source of regret for the days to come. Let my cheek gently rest on the edge of the couch close to where his hand had come to rest. Then I murmured, uncertain whether he could catch my words. Appreciate your reminder of my identity. As a woman, not a parent, not merely an ex-wife of someone, yet a complete human being brimming with emotion, remains deserving of recognition, of being listened to, and of the freedom to exist authentically. Evan stirred ever so slightly, yet remained in the realm of dreams. With a gentle motion, I rose and filled a glass with water. As my hand made contact with the glass, a profound realization washed over me. Not every spark must be pursued to its conclusion. Not every profound bond needs to evolve into a romantic relationship. Not every individual who rekindles your spirit is meant to linger in your life. Times, merely being present at the opportune moment can mend the fragments of yourself you believed were forever gone. As dawn broke, I rose early, prepared my coffee, and began the day just as I always did. This time an unexpected lightness filled my being. Evan emerged from his room, his eyes heavy with sleep. You've risen with the dawn. He offered a soft smile. Are you upset with me? I gently shook my head. Silent gesture of disbelief. Indeed, I am aware of this. Had we ventured one step further last night, there would be nothing left to cling to today. Evan inclined his head in agreement. There is no dispute without remorse. It was merely the gaze in his eyes, composed, tranquil, and slightly more mature. We savored our coffee, chose not to mention the events that transpired. I recently mentioned the idea of acquiring a new flower vase and the prospect of finally completing that documentary we both abandoned midway on Netflix. He departed. I accompanied him to the threshold.